moments they look good, just slightly out-executed. So don't lose hope and just do the same thing.
Well, let's find out where we're going to go here for our next battleground. Game number 2 here between CE and Tempo Storm. Tomb of the Spider Queen by Tempo Storm, brought to the field, Jay Howe.
Brought to the field, Tempo. Tomb of the Spider Queen, obviously a very different battleground. We talked about the lack of wave clear in certain areas, but I think maybe we were just talking about that off camera, but this is one where it heavily favors the wave clear. You have to have some. Going into certain styles won't necessarily obtain that. You know, I just want to give you guys a tidbit, because we saw the first pick Mouthel last game, and it's not necessarily awkward. It's just Mouthel, first pick. All right, it's BOE, makes sense. Had a message from Tetcher, who casted all the Gold Club throughout this year. He said that might even be a denial towards Paradise, who that was one of his main heroes, especially at Battleground. So a little bit of tidbit, maybe some play around with picks if they've done their homework, things like that.
Absolutely. Phase 2 played it 8 times with Paradise on that Malthael, so his most played hero, in fact, when it came to that.
I want to bring to light that Tempo Storm is not a team that traditionally picks Tomb of the Spider Queen. It is a little bit, it's not out of the realm of possibilities, but it is not their go-to main priority, and I'm going to argue it's purely because CE doesn't necessarily have the biggest of track record. It's not a high priority map for them. But more importantly than anything here, after that last game and the experience, aggression, team fighting, the very Chinese meta that we have always known and loved, is hindered on a map that is so dependent on wave clear and controlling and manipulating the map. So I really like to see Tempo Storm kind of catering to maybe their strengths and the weaknesses here of CE.
Exactly. You can have one of the most aggressive team fighting compositions on in the game, but as soon as you're on Tomb of the Spider Queen, you can literally get out-janitored, out-cleaned up. Just clearing those waves, picking up the gems, and just not being where the aggressive team is going to have to be to clear the wave. That's a very effective way of winning this map. Good picks here include Chromie, that can interrupt the pay station from very far away, but also anything with really good wave clear, and being able to pick up gems safely.
You talk about wave clear. We saw Johanna in our first series. Obviously, this was probably one of her better battlegrounds before the rework. She has a little bit more aggression, in my opinion, with the talent rework. This is something we've seen her on, but also something that could be up for contention is the Garrosh. We don't see that early game. You can get a lot of value on Garrosh because of the close distance. You have more opportunities to get those throws.
Yeah, Garrosh punishes gem pickup in particular. His wave clear is terrible, but he can, anyone that wants to, and the cool thing is, you know where those gems are. The opponent that's going to pick them up is going to make it so easy to land that pull-in combo.
Oh, you want these? Come and get them, please. Please come get these.
Just go ahead, you know, stop on by. One thing that I did want to highlight is that Tempo Storm, when they did end up playing on Tomb during the playoffs, again, riding that kind of momentum, Fury on Garrosh was a big reason, as they were so dominant within the North American scene. So, you know, obviously Garrosh is a very power pick within the meta itself, but I do think taking that away from Fury is going to really set them ahead into the draft. Tempo still sticking with that Mouthel and the ETC here. ETC a smidge higher than before, but the Mouthel, I still, you know, I'm a bit surprised to see it in game 2.
Well, you know, I think Mouthel was one of the things that worked the best in the last game. Despite picking it early, he wasn't really countered, he stayed alive long, and he usually wasn't the one that got taken out early. Plus, Mouthel also bypasses Garrosh's armor component. Garrosh gets more and more armor the lower his health bar drops. And because Mouthel does true damage, percentage damage, he completely bypasses that. So he's an excellent choice against Garrosh himself.
I want to talk a little bit about Fury's ETC. I spent a lot of time watching individual perspectives of individual heroes and players. Fury is probably, and I watched from Europe, North America, over 20, 30 plus games individually. Fury has probably the most aggressive power slides, and we saw sometimes even that one at the bottom, it's like he wants to make that big play oftentimes instead of a team-oriented where we kind of see this bump and slide approach from the Europeans, things like that. There are some counterplays towards that, but if you watch the positioning of that, he really likes to go all in. So I'd like to see if they're going to commit to that. We saw the Vala last game. I'd like to see some type of heavy burst style to complement that play style that Fury likes to have on that ETC.
This is where pattern recognition becomes a thing. Rhaegar, Lucio, twice in a row. We're starting to see trends here. We're only just getting started in the HGC finals, but we see that double support combo once again. A very nice double support there with that movement speed of Lucio.
I just want to say that I really do appreciate the double audible woof that you've kind of given throughout this draft at specific moments. Just, oh, man. Yeah, that is a very, to see Anna banned out here, it makes me very optimistic, especially towards the meta. And it's with the Malthael picked up, I'm not surprised to be able to see that taken away. But I do want to highlight that the Rhaegar-Lucio duo together are some of the most offensive, but also they kind of like light synergize because they can dive so effectively. I'm very surprised to be able to see CE get that for themselves here in this game. And again, when you're running double support, Rhaegar sits above all else because if you can get wave clear within your support role, you suddenly feel like you aren't hindered on every other class.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't do something like Ana, Tyrande, not that they particularly work well together, just because they have too little wave clear.
Speaking of wave clear, the one thing that I've seen Greymane in particular, yes, you get that percentage of base damage, Malthael can survive in that, but Greymane, when it comes to defending the web weavers, isn't necessarily the best. Most of his damage is done when he's in Worgen form. And speaking of wave clear, we got ourselves a Ragnaros sighting all of a sudden, guys.
Cassia to counter Greymane and Ragnaros to control the map.
He does that pretty well.
It's again essentially kind of a pause button for the lack of wave clear on their side,
Yes.
sacrificing a majority of the gems. So if Tempo Storm commits too many gems too early, it's very easy for CE to kind of go wipe the slate clean, reset the map, and then rely on their offensive team fighting post 10.
I mean, you mentioned wave clear, and let's hope for the sake of one of our commentators, that's the only wave we see during this.
Yeah, no joke.
Look, I'm just going to throw this out there. There will potentially be a team that will make Trixler's day
we know.
this weekend. If everybody's wondering, it's that old lava wave. And
Now Tempo has two options, second support or maybe Tyrael. Would work pretty well as well. You want to have people that can save Garrosh victims or that can save themselves. Tyrael does this fine. You would have a very aggressive comp with movement speed and sanctification.
Ooh.
And that's a good save as well.
Yeah.
One force of will, protected, and a portal, by the way, to save whoever gets thrown in.
Yeah.
At midseason brawl, I sat down with Koth and Luck, and I'm just asking him, I said, what do you think your best hero is? Just throw it out there. Give it to me. He's like, I'd say my Greymane. And he came out, his games were limited, but when he is on that hero, he is very effective. Generally, that might be the Psalm-style hero, but Medivh is the Psalm hero in this instance, which will give Cawthon potentially his best hero in his mind. So the confidence is going to be there in a hero like that. So I'm really curious, can Cawthon make the plays on that big carry-style hero on that backside with Greymane?
As Grubby is alluding to, is Medivh the best answer in the meta right now to a Garrosh? Is that the best way to potentially deal with it?
If you don't have mobility on most of your heroes, yeah.
He's definitely the safest, right? Because he's like a direct counter to all the things Garrosh does, and his cooldowns nearly match that of Garrosh. But I don't know if I would say the best because that comes with massive trade-offs within your composition, right? So ultimately, yes for the save, but does that mean it's worth the pick? Maybe not.
I would take Medivh every time against Garrosh. They both have low wave clear, so it's not like you're falling behind where you say, okay, I'm countering this burst, but they're also going to control the map. So in that part, it's tolerable and okay.
Yeah.
And then you've got that save. And if everything goes wrong, Leyline Seal to reset. There is no question in my mind that whoever has the better end of the draft, skill and execution will win out because the tools are there on either side. Mobility on the side of CE, and then we've got these protection buttons on the side of Tempo Storm.
Though, for me, these drafts don't feel necessarily stacked in one way or the other. I feel like if Tempo Storm does struggle heavily in this game or even loses it, it's a bit more telling maybe towards the mentality and success into the tournament, just because they do have a lot of the tools to be able to deal with it. And Tempo Storm, in my opinion, has the better composition, but ultimately I do feel like the synergy and teamwork that CE displayed in the last game, and specifically the Ragnaros adjustment that North America has literally not seen a fraction of, is going to kind of catch them off guard. And I'm just, if they are not aware of that before the game opens, I feel like it kind of shows the mentality and adjustments that they're going to need to make if they're successful.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Make sure out there not only to hashtag which team you think is going to be winning, but also get those cheers going as well. I saw in the previous game we had that CE banner, all important. Get those in-game items as well. Always fun to represent some of your favorite teams along the way. For now, we're heading over to our commentary team in Gillyweed, and Trixler, take it away.
Tempo Storm has the opportunity to show their improvement over the last year from last BlizzCon to this one, but they have to get over such a towering mental hurdle now, knowing that they lost the last game to CE.
Yes,
Can they do it?
I believe so, actually. The composition that they have is actually really great there with the Medivh rounding out the draft. It helps them with, one, Garrosh picking off targets and bringing them back. You know, of course, protection, by the way, is always wonderful, and I'm going to get that word out of my mouth because I'm not going to say, by the way, ever again in this cast.
We have cut it from our vocabulary.
It's done. And then secondly, Medivh gives the ability for a team to dive on a Ragnaros. Ragnaros is a very vulnerable body, and if you can dive on top of him and take him out, he falls very quickly. So I would love to see if Tempo Storm can pull that off.
Well, let's see if they can do it. Let's get into game 2 on Tomb of the Spider Queen between Tempo Storm and CE. CE leading this best of 3, 1-0.
And here we go, the second game in this best of 3 series here. If CE can earn the victory, they will move forward up to the upper bracket here. And then, of course, if they lose against Tempo Storm and tie up the series, we get one more game, which is always great. Here on the left side, in the blue, it will be CE. Aloof playing Rhaegar, KTY playing Lucio, Paradise playing the Ragnaros, I'll keep an eye on him, and Locktar playing Cassia, Wind finishing it up with Garrosh.
And in the red, we've got Tempo Storm with ETC played by Fury, Cothenluck playing Greymane, Caterpillar back on Malthael, Stukov played by June, and Psalm will be helping him out on his Medivh.
Gonna be watching that Medivh. I think Psalm will definitely be one of the players that we have to keep an eye on during this entire game there. The Medivh is gonna be instrumental for Tempo Storm to both survive and be effective for dives. Later on, with ETC and Medivh being paired up, they are very solid at finding isolation and getting a kill with Greymane following up. So Tempo Storm will need to have coordination to pull that off.
Now Trixler, they're also going to need coordination, making sure they can stay away from Wind's Garrosh, or at least make sure that they're saving those targets. Wind and CE are the only Chinese teams playing Garrosh, at least they were during their regional, and he was making a short work of a lot of members of SPT, even with this hero. So we'll be looking for those kinds of picks, but Tempo Storm now has had a taste of what it's like to play versus CE. They haven't played each other since, I believe, CE mentioned at GCWC last year. So it's been a long time since they've felt that kind of aggression out. Now they should understand and know how CE is going to be playing.
A lot of it will rest on top of Fury and the ETC play there. He'll have to be in the face of Garrosh as much as possible. And whenever he thinks an engage is coming, and if we do have Wind decide that he wants to throw the ETC, you drop down the heal instantly. So you get that resistance and then power slide out, just like that. And if Psalm is nearby at any point to drop in the Force of Will, Tempo Storm should be able to handle that pressure coming their way. The one thing that they should not do, no matter what, as we head towards the mid stages of the game, is not get close to turrets. That's where it becomes a bit of a difficulty to actually pull that off, as CE will be able to boost forward with Lucio and even go past portals to get kills.
Oh, but that power slide was used. Thankfully, the portal was there to get Fury out of danger, but it's a slippery slope that Tempo Storm are at. That wasn't even near towers. That was just middle of the lane, and that shows the amount of damage that CE can do, especially once Tempo Storm starts to group up even at all because of charge strikes and Cassia. We're seeing Paradise as the Ragnaros leveling or laning in the bottom versus Caterpillar, also trying to build up his stacks for level 1. That is not how their cohorts from China, BTG, play with Ragnaros. They traditionally will keep Ragnaros in the 4 and then rotate so that he can try to build those stacks a little bit easier. So we'll keep track and see how Paradise is doing. Right now he's sitting at 10 stacks. 14 stacks of the necessary 30.
So almost about halfway there. That's going to be a bit of a difficult matchup, and luckily he's had Rhaegar come down to provide a heal, also to grab the Giants to kind of push them Malthael. Generally in most 1v1 situations, Malthael will out-sustain you and be quite annoying, so a gank could always be good there to help take him down, but CE shouldn't expect too much to happen in that bottom lane. Most of the aggression will be around Wind here on that Garrosh. And there we saw them from Tempo Storm, Wind easily walking away there while KTY will drop off the heal. Now, the aggression coming from CE has allowed for them to drop off more gems, and as we start to break down turrets, we should have CE drop more and more off. That's what's so great about having a Garrosh on this battleground in the early game. You literally scare your opponents to the point where they're sitting back by the turrets, which allows for you to go turn-ins.
Right, you win either way. Either you're able to get some picks, and not finding that, you have these control over both of the turn-in points, or at least one of them most often enough that you can get turned in. There's only 10 at this point, and there's only a little bit of an experience advantage for CE, but Tempo Storm at least are not losing out on any early picks with Garrosh, which is very nice for them.
And I do want to ask you actually here, in EU, one of the stronger strategies is to try to get 2 turn-ins right away. One before level 10, one right when you're hitting 10 or right afterwards, and you try to just put so much pressure on your opponent that you break down forts and you just pen them on their side of the battleground. Is that similar in North America?
In North America, we have had a lot of teams trying to do that, but it's still sort of experimental phase of figuring out when the right time for the first turn-in is and trying to make sure that they can get enough structural damage done to make sure that they get 10s close enough that you get the secondary one too. So it is obviously the goal, but it's not there
Gotcha.
executed by every single team just yet.
I was a bit curious, because Tempo Storm isn't peeling members off to try and watch those turn-ins as often as you normally see. CE, though, they don't seem to be doing as much as they want to actually go in for the turn-ins. They're intending to actually break down turrets more here
Right.
to try and get an experience lead, and they've gotten a smidgen of experience lead. They get to level 7 right now, but yet not going for the full drop-in, which allows Tempo Storm, after fighting in the middle, to actually move forward and try to get their own.
Yeah, the thing I'm worried about for Tempo is how much structural damage has been done, though, by C at this point. Getting a tower in the bottom, and I think getting one in the mid, too. This is going to be an opportunity for snowballing, even a tower in the top. There are a lot of different places for them to be able to push along with Web Weavers and then try to pull some of the resources of Tempo Storm somewhere. And let's not forget, CE has a Ragnaros. So opening up a battleground, opening up the map, especially Tomb, allows you to have forward outposts later on where you take over that structure, and then if your team is, or your opponents are too far out, you can catch them trying to retreat through that point, and you might just wipe the team.
The strength of being a Ragnaros. You have a bit of a weaker body when you're not in Molten Core form, but when you go into Molten Core, you are all powerful, and those outposts are, of course, very important for going for those fights later on in the stages, so we'll keep an eye out for that. One of the things that I am a bit worried about, though, for CE is their siege potential is actually kind of lackluster. Their kill potential is great,
Yes.
so their turn-ins, I feel like they kind of have to group up and all in on an idea, so they can go for the top side or the bottom side, depending on how they feel like they have the map pushed out, but spreading out will not be advantageous for them.
Great silence there from Stukov. June playing that hero, but it's not enough to amount to a Garrosh kill. And Tempo Storm keeps their composure and are able to get the first Web Weaver phase. So here's a chance for them to push back these lanes that have taken a lot of damage from CE. We're going to start with clearing out this top lane, keeping a member in at least the bottom lane. They have Malthael there, and then Tempo Storm can rotate back and forth between mid and top wherever they find an opportunity. But they need to move fast because CE are a level ahead of them.
And this is where I love Ragnaros. If you do find a spot that you think your opponent might actually break down a fort, you can use that Molten Core and completely stop them from pushing. The best place to do this is in the middle, and here we are, Paradise. Showing up, dropping down the damage here from the middle side. This will allow for him to also poke top or bottom, depending on where Tempo Storm goes. Tempo Storm, anticipating this, actually spreads out and allows for them to decide, okay, where is CE not defending? There we'll try and get some experience to catch up.
Yeah, that was great. The setup for the members of Tempo Storm, where they were at, they could quickly move to the top and the bottom to push those. They get one tower in the top lane. This has got them caught up in experience, but there's now only one Web Weaver left down in the bottom lane. And with so many defending that, it should fall pretty quickly. Still a couple of members here. There's a portal to get people out, especially against Wynn's Garrosh. But the problem for Tempo Storm is that they used 50 gems, and they're still just tied with CE in experience. And that is all back to the solid, strong early game of CE.
Tempo Storm does catch up, so they are now officially a condiment here, as they're able to get the 10
We have
side
it!
CE,
They
and
did it!
Lava Wave has been chosen.
What?
First off, picking this is the best pick you could ever do. 100% win rate in the HGC. Thank you, Dark-Sided. Cassia, though, gets picked off in the middle lane, and Tempo Storm will have to deal with the might of lava burning down lanes.
Lava and Web Weavers, that is a spidery, scary combination if I've ever heard of it. But getting a pick on Cassie is a nice start to that defense. So they did it. I thought it was going to be something like Valkyrie Sulfurous Smash, like some sort of wombo with that. But we've got a Lava Wave.
Personally, I enjoy it with this competition because if you go back to the point we brought up earlier, they don't have much siege potential.
Yeah.
So if they actually want to put down a Lava Wave, say in the top lane, and then put all 5 members in the bottom side, they get lanes pushing. The trade-off, though, with using Lava Wave is, 1, you don't have the combo you just mentioned, and 2, that if you do it a little bit too early, you actually miss out on 6 to 9 gems. As it burns down the lane, you can't go towards it.
Yeah. You know, I was also thinking, oh, maybe we'll see something like a Warlord's Challenge if Tempo Storm groups up too much, and then Lava Wave after that. But you could also just do that with a Sulfurous Smash, too. So we'll just have to see how this Lava Wave thing is going to work out for CE. But the good thing is they're pushing in with their Web Weavers. They're starting to put in support damage. They're trying to reap the rewards of having that strong early game.
CE taking some
Lane
damage here as
line.
Leyland Seal pops out. The silence coming in from June. They will try to lock down Lucio, but KTY does get out. Drops the sound barrier. Medivh gets focused down, and here is the lava as it burns down the middle lane, pushing everyone from Tempo Storm back.
Oh, I love you. Got so into that Lava Wave. It's like your
man?
first time getting to commentate Lava Wave, and you made it epic. You
But
got
Mosh?
to pull immediately out of that
Molten Core.
Mosh, though. Caterpillar's gonna go there. Paradise goes down. He can't do it now. Tempo Storm firing back, takes down 2.
That they do, and June coming in there with the flailing arm helping out. Tempo Storm is able to trade out the 1-for-2. Medivh falling victim there. Did he finish Master's Touch?
No.
No, he did not. So there's an update on it. Tempo Storm defends, but they do overall lose out on a fort. They lose Medivh's Master Touch, so CE definitely taking that trade.
That was what Tempo Storm needed to do, though, before things got out of control the way they were in the last game, to making the best of a bad situation, making the best of losing Psalm there. Tempo Storm still being able to get 2, rotating out quickly to try to get this turn in. Wind's gonna stop Fury from doing that, but Psalm's here too now. Cursed Bullet comes out, they're trying to get this kill.
Wind has done goofed, it looks like. Drops down the taunt. Can he survive? He actually baits everyone from Tempo Storm into a fight. Eventually will fall, but Malthael is already dead. CE given chase here as Logtar is looking to apply a little bit of damage there from the Cassia. Goes in for the Fury. Can he get more?
Gets the Fend, Force of Will, keeping Psalm alive. Leyline burned just to make sure they can live, and now they're trying to turn this back around. Fury gets into a good position for a power slide to hold KTY on top of that silence, but no kills from that fight. It's just Tempo Storm getting back to safety.
And looking at that can't stop, one stop, going to be helping out there with Lucio. So Lucio is actually immune to all enemy slow and root effects when he's in wall ride. Very, very helpful there as he continues to have the focus coming from him. ETC and such trying to lock him down, trying to get out. Usually you see that resistance picked up at level 13, so a bit of a change up. But CE, man, they love to play with their different talents, and I can see why they pick it here.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of slows and roots there, but we'll see what he could do with that Lucio pick there. We've also got Inevitable End for Malthael, hoping that he could try to live through some of this Garrosh aggression. Sadly though, Wind getting the if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me kill. It's pretty good for CE.
That's pretty much the motto of all Garrosh players.
Yeah.
I'm going down, but you're coming with me. As another pick comes in, 14-13, much closer match for our teams as we head to the mid game. Fury is a target, but there is a portal for him to escape to. Taunt gets popped off, Fury gets focused, and he gets deleted. And Malthael trying to get out of the fight here, but we have Logtar thrown over the wall by Garrosh, going straight for Cattle. He'll beeline for him and take him out.
These portals will save what's left of Tempo Storm's forces, especially now that Quickening is here. But Tempo Storm are in dire straits. They lose 2, they lose their front line. A lot of that was because of the setup too. Fury being separated from the team took damage. The taunt pulling him away from getting to the team to getting back to safety with the rest of the members. That was a great Warlord challenge to pull him back so that they could get that kill. 44 out of the 55 gems necessary for CE to get their second turn-in of the game, and there they will get it.
And CE with the second turn in are looking for level 16 forts to be destroyed. They've already dealt with the fort in the middle and the bottom side, so they're in a great spot in terms of opening up the battleground. Can they get more? A keep wall would be instrumental and helpful for them to move forward.
Tempo Storm are setting up a defense in the top lane. They do have Medivh down in the bottom, but it's going to be the inevitable end usage for Caterpillar. Had to use it early on in the last one too, and that's just Wind forcing him to use it.
The pressure of a Garrosh player, man, is always tilt-inducing, that is for sure, when you have to burn down, cooldown. CE continues to move forward here. They have a healthy Web Weaver, and if they really decide to, they could drop down multiple here on the backside, siege from afar, and allow for the Cassia in particular to step up and continue to attempt to harass their opponents.
Love that they're pushing this middle lane though, because they have those bruisers, they have the Web Weavers, and when I've seen MVP Black a few times play Ragnaros onto the Spider Queen in this part, they like to try to bring down that middle keep first, because you can siege both the other keeps with it once you use Molten Core there. So it's a good forward outpost for a team when they have Ragnaros, but because the Web Weaver was taken down so much, looks like maybe no keep yet. Wind throws back, Force of Will, Sound Barrier.
There it is. Paradise turns around, drops on the smash. Malthael's being focused down. Paradise moves forward. They're going to have the Force of Will coming out to keep Cattle alive, but he wastes out on the Tormented Souls. Here comes the Lava Wave. Not going to do too much, but CE use that Lava Wave, so if they started to lose a team fight, they could escape backwards and at least be able to get in a spot where they defend against Tempo.
I thought maybe that was going to be a place for Tempo to catch the members of CE because Sound Barrier was used so early on in that fight. Tormented Souls hadn't, but because Flailing Swipe was being used, other members were running just down to defend. Caterpillar didn't have the backup with him to go back in.
Wow, looking at this, CE is actually playing very well. They are showing 3 in the middle, showing that they're willing to fight against Tempo Storm, but not actually wanting to. They can boop away from KTY and go for a disengage. And CE mask a boss engage on top of the boss. They use Rhaegar and Cassie, and they're able to grab it for free because Tempo Storm thought they were going for a turn-in.
That was so well done. CE is playing impressively at this event, their first match of opening week for the HGC Finals. And moving on forward, Fury not hitting wind with the power side. Instead will get tossed back into the fray. Goes through the portal, but there is the siege, the damage from Molten Core as Stukov falls.
And Lockdar will delete that Stukov. Cattle trying to body block for his teammate. The Molten Core being used on the back port side to be able to siege from afar. A little bit too out of range here for CE to continue chasing forward. But look at that boss. It's actually very healthy. Without a Stukov being around, it becomes much more difficult for Tempo Storm to defend.
Yeah, this may just simply be it for Tempo Storm. They still have Mosh Pit as a defense line. They still have Leyline Seal too. They're just doing what they can to bring down the boss and not get overly scared, overly cautious against them. There's a Leyline Seal. Do we see the Mosh follow-up? Power side hits. They've got the 3-man.
Blue comes out here on the side, still has Ancestor healing. Sound Barrier will be used. CE open to defend. They turn around for the fight. Cattle trying to escape. Portal has also been dropped. We're going to need another one up in a second. There it is. Fury going in for the engage, but the immediate boop there from KTY knocks him away from the fight. 18-16, CE is able to escape, but Tempo Storm defends their core.
And because Rhaegar was out of that mosh, he had the cleanse to get Garrosh out, which is what stopped the mosh pit from getting anything more. Tempo Storm had their wombo set up, but CE completely dismantled it. Tempo Storm will have to find a different opportunity.
And that's why I love Aloof, man. Underrated as a support player. I hope to see more of his Karazim this tournament, but not too bad on the Rhaegar so far.
Yeah, I keep saying that too, hasn't played Karazim for, I think, all of Phase 2.
Rip.
But I still think we could maybe convince him to
We
play.
can convince him.
I think so, yeah.
We'll give him a little love note under his pillow. Like, hey, Karazim is your friend.
Karazim, just a heart.
Oh, the Ancestral comes out. Wynn trying to stay alive. Gets a throw, being knocked around here. Still alive, and Supple pops out. But the ball from Cassia actually lands there on Malthio, getting the kill. And CE is looking like they might want to chase. Decides against it as they now want to defend against the Web Weavers coming their way.
Man, June was getting aggressive in there in his positioning. He was like, I'm sick of defensive flailing swipes. You are not getting back to your base this time. Tempo Storm have some Web Weavers. They're still wanting to go for the kills. This is the time. They're down 2 levels. They need to make something happen here with the Leyline Seal.
Leyline Seal stops 2 targets. Aloof is low. Going in for the bite is going to go ahead and disengage here. The Web Weaver in the middle has been dealt with. The other is in the top side, but with CE pushing in so heavily, it's not even in a threatening position for that fort, which allows CE to easily run to the bottom. And this is where it becomes a major issue. Level 20 is about to hit here for CE.
Yeah, it's not a great feeling at this point for Tempo Storm. They are on a Web Weaver phase. They're 2 levels behind, and they haven't taken out a single fort from CE at this point. They have lost their top keep. They have had 2 turn-in phases, and Paradise keeps it alive, but I hear a sound barrier.
They're trying to go in. Always nerve-wracking when you're trying to observe CE because they always want to go in for fights that you typically do not want to see. About to hit level 20 here. Usually would wait for a few more seconds, but they thought they saw an opportunity to go in. Didn't quite pan out for them, but still 20 right around the corner here as they grab the Giants. They can now go in for a turn-in. They have 2 levels to play around and do whatever they would like for the time being, just because they're so far ahead of their opponent. The next target keeps in 4.
Tough times for Tempo Storm.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and CE playing incredibly well at this event, this series, looking like they want to try their hand at a series versus MVP Black, a completely different competitor type. 20 here, heroic difficulty available for Ragnaros. There is the keep down in the top lane. That might be a possible point to use that. But they look like they want to push in the bottom lane instead.
Heroic difficulty, great for defense, but also offense. Again, getting that extra health and, of course, damage. And the cooldown being reduced means that you can use it willy-nilly. You can literally drop it, be around your team, be able to go for the disengagements, especially when you're near a Lucio. CE is getting ready for what they would consider a game-ending push.
Titanic
Engage here, the ball throwing multiple members.
They had the 2 members, there's taunt, follow-up 2, but a great silence, such a good silence. Tempo Storm ready to go, jumping on top of Wynn. Sound barrier stops, though, the Maltheo yet again. They'll use Inevitable End and the Flailing Swipe. Tempo Storm retreat, but they're retreating back after what maybe the best chance for them to try to get some kills, still weren't able to get it.
The Lava Wave coming in and connecting with multiple members. Saw him using the Force of Will to live himself. CE brings in the Ragnaros as well, done using the Molten Core. Keep in the middle has fallen. There are catapults and web weavers on the board. CE charging forward. Cattle hoping to defend, to keep his team here in this matchup. Gonna have Fury going for a power slide into a mosh pit, but we have the knockback from Lucio.
Knockback takes him out. Fury not getting the mosh pit. Now he will fall. There's a double kill for CE as they march confidently in to get more. Pulling back Caterpillar. A taunt is his demise. And CE will take out Tempo Storm 2-0, moving on to MVP Black.
Lava Wave continues to be undefeated in the HGC as CE and Darksided have both won in the world with the best heroic in the game.
Yes, I attribute that entire game simply to Lava Wave, Trixler.
As you should.
You're a prophet.
Thank you, thank you. Well, CE comes out and they look dominant. Even with a sub coming in, Lokhtar holding his own here against Tempo Storm. But I gotta say, Tempo Storm looking great there. You know, in the past we would look at them and say, hey, why aren't they pushing in? Why aren't they pushing for advantages? Why aren't they trying to force mistakes? They did that in this series, and that gives me hope for them as a team.
Well, you've heard our thoughts on this match. Let's check in with the analyst desk and get their thoughts.
That's right. We managed to get a few words from CE before the tournament began, and they said going into this series, 50-50 chance they'd be able to take the victory. That looked more to me than just a 50-50 chance.
Well, they also said that if they win the first match, which they now have, they have an 80% chance of making it out of the group. They were very respectful and cautious of Tempo Storm. They saw them play in China in December 2016, but they don't know enough about them. Now they have crossed swords, CE has come out victorious, and they should feel pretty confident to advance out of the group.
I agree. I mean, that was an amazing performance from CE. Like, I want to reiterate that I feel like that such an amazing play from them. They were a pleasant surprise at the Eastern Clash, and I did feel like maybe it wouldn't continue over all the way over through BlizzCon, but it very much seems to be the case here. Wynn's just making plays left and right. Like, I feel like calling him out is maybe not even true because every single one of them actually seems to be a playmaker on their own.
And even so, someone like Lokhtar, who hasn't been with the team for a while because he's just standing in for Zuyu, I felt like his Greymane was good, I felt like his Cassio was good, and not just as an individual level, but was gelling with the team very well, Jay Howe.
He did gel, and I know we've heaped a lot of praise on the CE, justifiably so, but we were watching that game, and when we're watching that, there are some questionable moments from Fury on that front line, very aggressive plays that kind of put his team in tough spots. I feel that's a major focal point they need to regroup on because they're now going to be playing against Deadly Kittens. They need to go back and look at some of the approach, maybe even their drafts, maybe switch it up, put him on a different style hero, because there are moments in that game that probably shouldn't have happened that did happen, and I think it cost them dearly in team fights.
It's dangerous, right? If you power slide in, you want to make sure that it leads to a kill immediately. Otherwise, there's too many members of the enemy team that are there to counterattack on the ETC who now no longer has his escape. It may work out really well if you see an opportunity and you do get that kill, but if you fail, and CE did so well to counteract that, then it's a big risk.
Well, let's hear from the winners themselves as we head over to Kevin, who's down at the stage.
Thank you so much, Kylaris. I'm here with Paradise, assassin player from the team of CE. Congratulations on your victory. Very well won there. 2-0 win over Tempo Storm. When we spoke to your team during the media days before this tournament, you said that a victory over Tempo Storm was probably a 50-50 chance, and that if you could secure that victory, it would bode well for your ability to get out of this group. How did you feel about that match? Did it play out the way you expected, and how are you feeling right now with the victory?
首先非常恭喜啊，就是我们那个一开场就是2-0，就是击败地质战队，然后就是你们在媒体日也说到啊，其实跟 Tempo Storm 打这个比赛其实是55%啊，50%的那个5-5开的胜率嘛，然后就是想问一下，这下次能第一场就2-0轻松获胜，对你们那个晋级小组赛打到后面的那个8强是会有什么样的一个寓意呢？
其实这场比赛就是打之前，我们是觉得就是可能在跟对手的差距应该就是在5-5之间，但是因为我们这2天，因为我们知道我们这小组最大的对手可能是北美战队，所以我们会去准备这样一场比赛，然后也算是就是准备有所回报吧，对，就是这样。
I think going into this group, we know that our biggest opponent is going to be the North America team, so we did a lot of practice to really target their team. So I know that even going to match is going to be 50-50, but we're just really happy that we're able to take this first match.
Absolutely. Now, we also know your team is playing a man down from your normal roster. Zuyu had some unfortunate visa issues and couldn't be here, and Lokhtar is a substitute for your team. Do you have any expectations that will have a heavy impact on your ability to go far in this tournament? And how is your team adjusting to that last-minute change in roster?
这边也说到，因为是由于签证原因嘛，其中有一位选手没法来到美国参加比赛，所以说 Lokhtar 也是替补上场。就是这边想问一下，就是说你们也是一个4+1这么一个阵容来到这个比赛，会对你的之后的那个影响，包括是后面的比赛有什么那个影响吗？
其实我们就是换的这名替补 Lokhtar 这名选手，其实他在就是个人技术方面，实际上与我们之前的就是正式选手相差不太多，所以就再加上我们平时也很熟，所以这次比赛相对来说，就对我们来说影响并不大，就是换了人之后。
I think in terms of skill level, I think the substitution player Lokhtar is really on par with the player that are unable to come to for this tournament. So we don't think he's going to be a major factor for us. So we actually think that he is really good, a good component for this team.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations once again on your victory, and good luck as you advance in this group stage to play MVP Black. We'll see you in the next match. All right, folks, Lava Wave, undefeated in the HGC. Please stick around. Just a short break. We'll be right back.
We'll have a polymorph. Looks to use it. Does